So I don't know if you're going to be around for most of X.
I don't know, but if you're on Slack, connect.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to XR Women. Please
Great.
find a seat, and we're going to get started in a minute and finish up your conversations. Thank you. Yay.
Yay.
XR Women Wednesday.
Hey, Dot.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome.
Oh, I can't
try and find your seat.
Oh, yeah.
Get comfy. We are going to change worlds at some point, but we're here for the next couple of minutes.
How are you doing?
Doing well.
Oh, good.
Excellent.
And if you're unfamiliar here in Engage, you can point and click at a chair. Any of these are chairs that were around. So if you feel like you're standing and you want to sit, if you use your controller and aim and point at these shapes, there's chairs on them. So yeah, just
with the A button.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Thank you. The A button. Correct. All right.
Or teleport.
That's right. Teleport. All right. Shall we get started, Paige? You good?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do this. Hello, everybody. Welcome to event number 194. This is XR Women's event 194, and it's Wednesday, November 6th. So welcome, everybody, and thanks for attending. We've got a nice group of us, almost 30 of us in the room today. And we're excited to hear Krystal Curley speak about Indigenous storytelling and empathetic VR. It is Indigenous Month, and we are proud to bring stories of our community who are doing things in the immersive space, sharing their knowledge. And Krystal, we're super excited to hear from you today. So thanks for being here. All right. Let's see. Okay, so a bit of housekeeping, and I'm just going to mute. Just give me 2 seconds. I got to hide these controls. Okay, so before we begin, we are recording. So your avatar voice and text messages may be shared publicly. Avatar etiquette, please respect the presenter and audience by controlling your avatar presence. Mute if you're not speaking, please, just so that we can make sure there's no feedback there. And please respect our speakers' opinions, which don't necessarily reflect those of XR Women or our leadership. Use your hand to raise questions, and make sure you connect with others, collaborate, and help make the future better for all of us through technology. So we're proud to be here today as XR Women, and these are a list of our sponsors, not just platforms, but communities who are helping the production of these events every week. We're approaching 4 years in a row straight of meeting every week immersively, so I'm super proud to be a part of this team. And if I didn't mention already, my name is Julie Smithson. I'm one of the co-founders and on the leadership team with Paige here, and there's several other Jenna's there in the middle. She's recording today, and I know there's a few of our team that are traveling, but there's an immense amount of work that goes behind this, producing these events and these worlds and curating speakers and the footprint we have. So these are some of the great speakers we have. And through all these speakers, we've brought on this new, we keep on bringing new community members, but it's not just in, one hemisphere of the planet. We are global. We're over 1,000+ members. We cover over 60 countries. And you can see by these new members, they cover everywhere from France, Sweden, UK, the US, and it's exciting to kind of find out how many people end up being in the same room as you that cover multiple different time zones, as well as cultural perspectives from our events. And that's what we strive to do through our learning journey. A little bit of news for everybody. Save the date. We are heading to Sarasota, Florida in February 7th to 9th. We are having a symposium. It's going to be Thriving in 2025 is our theme. And we're going to have some workshops and networking. The International Virtual Reality Healthcare Association Hackathon is on at the same time. So we're going to be doing a little bit of mentorship at the same time as well. And that all lines up up with the missions and goals of XR Women. We do have a lot of programming that goes on, and we have, we're planning out next year. We already have a couple of weeks, right? Page going into the first quarter where we're already booked up, but we'd love to hear your thoughts about 2025. What do you want to know? What do you want to learn? What kind of knowledge are you looking for? So if you want to capture this QR code, and we'll drop the links in the Slack channel where you can pick these up too, but we'd love to know your thoughts about the programming. Another place to learn is our YouTube channel, and our team's been doing a great job of uploading the talks. We do record them in 2D, and there's some of them, like today, we're going to capture in 3D, and there's a team of us that are going to try and figure out how can you come back and visit the experience that, say, Krystal's going to present today. How can you do that another time and, enter back into that world? So we're working on that, but we're a small and mighty organization. We're trying to get through all of this stuff, so bear with us. But until then, you've got the 2D versions to learn. And you can also go into our XR Women Museum and Gallery. This is located in Frame, and you can go and see the wall of speakers we've had over the last 4 years. As I said, we're on event number 194 in a row, and the amount of knowledge this community has provided to build our ecosystem is pretty powerful. So if you want to head in there, you can. And you can also take a look at Kay Guillory's gallery, and she dives into the conversation about immersivism. And if you haven't heard about that, you probably should. So take a look there. You become an avatar, obviously, and ask somebody to join you. Both of you go in and take a tour. It's always better to do it with somebody else. We also have the research corner, and I think Sarah Barker is here. Sarah, you are here, I think. I saw your avatar.
Hi, Julie.
Hello, there you are. I'm going to pass this over for Sarah to give you a quick insight into the research corner we have. Please go ahead, Sarah.
Oh gosh, thank you. Hi, everybody. Yeah, just there's a research corner in Frame VR, and it's peer-reviewed research within the last 3 years. It's super fun. I'm building it out. I hang out there every Thursday at 12 p.m. Pacific time for an hour to build it out. And also, if you just need some help with attaching what you're working on to research, I'm there to help you with that. So I hope you'll stop by. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And you can access this research corner through the museum. So if you go into the XR Women Museum here, there's a link at the door there that will take you to Sarah's research corner. So I encourage everybody to go there. And obviously, participating in knowledge right now is really important. As we're learning all these different things. We have a business showcase also in Engage. The session ID is called MRGPL. So when you do come back, you're welcome to visit this showcase of ours. There's over 9 women-led spatial computing businesses that you can go and interact with, and avatars pop up and they teach you about their products and stuff. It's really imaginative, and the space pods allow you to have meetings if you want to bring a classroom or a group of students or anybody that you're looking to collaborate and come up with some spatial ideas. We also have an XR Women pin if you want to pin your power onto your sleeve. We encourage anybody that would like to buy one and support yourself and support our community. The money does come back to our organization, which is completely volunteer right now. All right, every week I come to our events with a word, and last week I haven't posted it yet on LinkedIn, but I did talk about abundance. The week before that was about accountability. We've talked about gratitude. We've talked about all these things that you need to do in the ecosystem that we're living in right now on the rate of exponential growth. So I'm sure everybody's feeling it every day. There's things going on, there's new things, and wrapped around that is your digital well-being. Caitlin Krause came out with a book recently. If you haven't heard about it or know about it, you probably should, because through this, the immersivism that we're going through, building, designing for ourselves in multiple different ways, it comes back to how well you are as a human. But taking that into that digital layer, we all have these tech stacks about us now. Being in here, we all logged in with our name, with our email, possibly with a workspace that you're working on, and depending if you're iOS or your Mac, Windows, you know, you've got a certain tech stack that is building around not just your business, but about you, right? Basically, it's about you first. And one thing I always do is I bring my lessons of life back to my community and to you to help you, just like it's helping me. And I'm learning on the daily, on the hourly, just like you. And one of the things that I've been diving into that I want to share is about building my own personal tech stack and knowing what it is, where it's connected, who it's connected to, what are the security boundaries around our own personal tech stack, and how do we access things. And it does definitely become a deeper conversation. I've been looking into it. I did find a link that we're also going to share in the Slack channel to kind of start taking a look at that. And if you're looking at it from a marketing perspective, maybe you have a marketing tech stack question about, you know, maybe it's ads, maybe it's retail, maybe it's what's the training tech stack. But at the core, it comes back to you. What's your tech stack, and what do you use? And it's a good time to take an audit of these things. We approach the end of the year, and I know that resolutions kind of come full fold of, you know, what did we start off with at the beginning of the year with, and what do we end off with? And I guess this is my share back to you and challenge to you is, you know, define your own tech stack and be ready for that next plugin, for that next login, and be ready for the questions around your own personal security. And you know, who really owns all of those logins? So I'll leave that with you, and we'll go on from here. Next Wednesday, we have Aquila Martinez, and she is going to be speaking on XR for social impact and a pathway to economic equality, ownership, and storytelling, and self-determination for Indigenous communities. And I think she's here today in the audience as well. We'll be coming back to engage, and then I'm sure also being taken to a world where she'll share her story. So make sure you take a look for that. Okay, Wednesday, November 20th. We are, this is our 4-year anniversary, and I won't go too much into the history right now, but November 20th, 2020, we started XR Women. And so we're approaching that anniversary, and Paige is going to take us on an exciting meetup in Horizon Worlds. So if you don't know about Horizon Worlds and you want to attend this, my suggestion is make sure you get yourself set up beforehand, make sure you have your login, your avatar, and I'm sure Paige can help you if you want to reach out to her either in Slack or on LinkedIn. Okay, week after that, November 27th, take the time for family and friends. This is the US Thanksgiving date, so we're going to take our basically our quarter week off for our leadership team, and just have a breather from the programming. So make sure, but you can continue to visit all those locations. So, you know, the museum, or if you want to go into the showcase that week or meet up with friends, you're certainly welcome to. So at this time, I'd like to invite Paige to, I'm going to stop sharing first of all, and I'm going to allow Paige to take over and introduce Krystal today. We have a great program. Thanks everybody for joining, and take it away, Paige. And thanks, Krystal, for joining.
Well, thank you so much, Julie. Those announcements really were so exciting. We have so many like exhilarating ways to thrive in 2025 together. And together, we're actually going to travel to Krystal Curley's world, where you'll be able to learn about Krystal Curley and hear from her. I will really give my introduction of this incredible person that we are gathered today for, and once we move over to our new world. So shortly, in moments, we will be traveling together. And I'm just going to load that experience now. Load and okay, and load. Confirm. I'm so thankful that we are all loading in. And actually, silly bear, we're not going to keep you today, right? I'm not sure how to erase the bear right now, but I'm going to load a couple things really quick. Please, one moment. May load. Let's see, presentation. Thank you for your patience. And split web link. Hey, all right. Oh, I'm not sharing that part. Okay. Thank you. You all know that I am new at hosting events and I am loving this. But it takes me just a couple of baby steps. I have the honor of being able to introduce Krystal Curley. Hello, everybody. It is a privilege to introduce Krystal Curley today, especially as we celebrate American Indigenous Heritage Month, a time to honor the rich history, resilience, and contributions of Indigenous communities. Even here in our virtual space, we recognize that in the Americas, we are always on Native land. Krystal is a powerful voice and a change maker. As the founding executive director of Indigenous Lifeways and a proud member of the Navajo Nation and Diné people, she weaves together community engagement, filmmaking, and immersive media to drive meaningful impact. I had the honor of meeting Krystal at the Virtual World Society mini hackathon at MIT's Reality Hackathon, where her commitment to uplifting Indigenous perspectives through technology was clear. Our paths crossed again at AWE, where she was awarded the Nextant Spirit Award, recognizing her inspiring leadership. Today, Krystal joins us to share her journey and the innovative ways she is working to uplift her community. Please join me in a warm welcome for Krystal Curley. And as Krystal speaks, let us keep in mind that today is a reminder of the incredible power women hold. Our voices, our stories, and our presence. As we gather here, let's celebrate the courage to step into leadership, create meaningful change, and lift each other up in spaces like these. Let's keep opening doors, knowing that we're part of a legacy of strength and resilience. Together, we're not just envisioning the future, we're actively shaping it for generations to come.
Woo! Thank you, Paige. Can everybody
Thank
hear
you,
me?
Krystal.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. And
Awesome.
I will load your presentation.
All right, on. Thank you, everyone. Well, we're making
Absolutely.
history right now. This is my first virtual presentation in a space like this, so I am so thankful for Paige and XR Women to be here, and it's so incredible. I'm just so happy. If you could see me, I'm just like smiling ear to ear. But before we start, I'd like to introduce myself. Thank you, Paige, for such a beautiful introduction. My mouth was just like open. I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. My name is Krystal Curley. My clans, I have to just introduce myself. It's just part of what we do, but I'm Diné. My clans are Kinya Ani Nishla, Kitlin Chitni Bashishchi, Nakaidina Dashiche, Aro Hanagatni Dashinale.
And in English, it means my mother is the towering house, my father's the red house, my maternal grandparents are the Mexican people clan, and my paternal grandparents are the one who walks around. And so that's, you know, who my ancestors are. We're originally from a place in New Mexico called Chachulta. It's about 20 minutes south of Gallup. And right now, where I'm logging in is from Santa Fe. And so I go back and forth. I've been running Indigenous Lifeways for the past 8 years now. My mother and my brother were the first ones to create the nonprofit. As they were creating the nonprofit and getting everything in gear, I was going to film school. So once I graduated from film school, my mother handed me the torch and said, "Okay, now it's your turn." So for me, storytelling is such a huge part of my life. As a young girl, that's one of my first teachers is my grandmother, who really instilled the passion of storytelling, of oral storytelling. I remember asking her to retell me so many different stories of her life, of growing up, and I'd be like, "Grandma, tell me that story again." And she'd be like, "Okay," without any hesitation. And for me, to this day, listening to our elders is one of still my passion. I could sit with an elder, anybody really, and listen to their story. I have so many questions. You know, we all come from different lineages. We have so many stories just from our ancestors. Um, and so you know, being out here as well in this space, also I really am calling in that my grandmother's energy. Where I come from is a bunch of trees down south of Gallup. There's also a natural pond where my grandmother grew up. um, I put it flowers because one of the things as a little girl, what she taught me is that some of the flowers where I come from are edible. And so I, you know, honored her with the flowers, even the imagery. Um, Flowers and this type of arrangement, you know, really for me, it really brings in the grandmother energy. And even for myself as Indigenous Lifeways, I see the organization as a grandmother. I'm just the caretaker of Indigenous Lifeways. So for me, you know, bringing my passion of storytelling, I've been on a quest, a journey, figuring out what is the formula to make content that is healing. What is the formula to create content that can impact the world? And so throughout my journey as a storyteller, I've came across empathetic storytelling, and then I came across VR and the XR world with augmented reality, the virtual world, and I have come across just a new profound pathway of how to heal people through utilizing these new technologies, while also having our traditional ways of storytelling be the foundation. And also with the science too that has come across while doing empathetic storytelling. So we could go to the next slide, please. And oh, that's the last one. um we're going backwards. Okay. Okay. So, this is myself. I'm holding, that's my mother, Anna Rondon, and I have my daughters here. Um, and we do a lot of political engagement, civic engagement through our organization. So this is one of the things that we were able to do during, it's been a while. It's probably during the pandemic because I just remember being on the computer all the time. But we were able to, for our organization, we were expert witness on the Respect New Mexico Women and Families Act. And with that, we really utilized our foundations of Indigenous storytelling to really make an impact through our legislature. So, and this is just one tactic we've used. There's different ways that we've used storytelling to create change, but this is one of them. And this is, you know, utilizing my family, my daughters, the matriarch in my family is my mom. And yeah, so we'll go to the next slide. And so why we're here, why, you know, for our organization, why we have such a passion for empathetic storytelling is because of a lot of the work that we do involves in the environment and involves talking about racism. It talks about capitalism. We have a lot of heavy conversations, a lot of extraction, you know, industry, environmental impacts of the extraction industry. And so through all of that work, we found that there was a huge need to create safe spaces and utilizing meditation, utilizing indigenous mindfulness techniques, utilizing ceremony to be the counterbalance for all the justice work that we were doing. We noticed that there was a lot of women showing up in these spaces that needed an extra space just to decompress. And so during the pandemic, well, before the pandemic, we were doing healing circles. Once the pandemic started, for us as Indigenous women, we thought that, you know, harnessing the moon's energy would be great for us to get through tough times. So for the past 3 years, in January, before years, we've been doing new moon meditations with our Indigenous Women's Working Group. So that Women's Working Group has really harnessed that space to um, um, really like really create a sacred space for our folks, you know, harnessing the energy of the moon, but also coming together, not just by ourselves, but in a community through also through the virtual. We were all on Zoom. We have yet to have a in-person meditation together. And so you could just see how I'm just loving the VR and how it could be utilized for meditation. But through our research and through several different doctors. One of the doctors I recommend if you want to learn more about Indigenous mindfulness and meditation and the science behind it, his name is Dr. Michael Yellowbird, and he's the one who I've gotten a lot of information from how to utilize mindfulness in justice work and having tough conversation. Well, what from his research is that just from the first 11 hours of doing meditation or any mindfulness techniques is that you start reforming and restructuring the white brain matter in your brain, which boosts that brain connectivity. So you could just imagine if you're able to do this for thousands and thousands of hours, what happens to your brain and what happens to just the physiological, down to the atoms in your body, just everything could completely change who you are just by utilizing meditation. And so that's how we become empathetic, just as an individual person, utilizing meditation, utilizing mindfulness. For us as Indigenous people, there's a whole list of Indigenous mindfulness techniques that you can follow from Dr. Yellowbird, but some of them are like singing songs, dancing, going outside, running. We do a lot of sacred runs, going for a walk, visiting sacred sites, praying with water. Um, I mean, the list goes on, but in essence, you could see that a lot of these are, you know, universal um, mindfulness techniques that we've all have in all cultures. We have those things that we go upon. And so when you add that an extra layer of having like intentions, through prayer and through connection with the fire that's with us, the air, the trees, the water, the animals, the plants, the insects, the microorganisms, you know, that's where we really can be able to have a really empathetic connection just through the environment that surrounds us. Um, so, I mean, I could go on about how to become empathetic, but, you know, I want to go a little bit further on how to, once we get to this, you've gone through meditation, you're feeling, you know, a little bit more connected with your environment. You feel like when you, like, say, for instance, for me to recognize my empathy, when I go outside and I pray, I go outside and I start seeing the wind blow through the trees, or like a bird will come up, and or like a little butterfly or a little insect will come up to me, or, you know, you see something. I see all those as, like, as, you know, people might, others that are not connected might say, oh, that's, she's crazy or whatever. But for me, I'm like, I'm so connected to the trees. I'm so connected to the water, to the plants, to the animals, to the insects, that I feel like I really can communicate with them, and I feel for them, when they're going through hard times. I feel for the mountains, for the sacred mountains, the Mother Earth, Father Sky. That's the goal through all of our justice work, is to feel more connected. And I think through healing, through utilizing empathetic techniques, mindfulness, meditation, we can feel for each other and feel what other peoples are going through, and know that we're not alone. We all have a lot of things that we're going through, and if the more that we talk about it, a lot of our stories are very similar. A lot of it, the issues, and but yeah, so that's that's the goal. Why we're even in this space too, is to even feel the trees, to even get a glimpse of what it is to be by the water, to be by a fire, by plants. But yeah, so now that hopefully we've gone through that phase, we've gone through that first step of how to be empathetic. So we're going to take a little bit further. If we go to the next slide, we're going to use now, how do we utilize it for storytelling, and how do we utilize science to help us get those reactions out of people? And so what empathetic storytelling is being a good caretaker of the stressors, the harms, the risks, the triggers within that story. You want to be a really good caretaker of what you're being presented, because it is what you're going to be talking about may be a hard issue. It's going to be something that may bring up a lot of stress in somebody. It's an issue, or some kind of problem in your community you're trying to address. So it's already hard as it is. And so what your goal, what your position is, to be a good caretaker of how you present that issue to the people. And so what we're now going to talk about is how to create that perfect balance of both the positive and the negative in that story as the story continues. And so we can go to the next slide. So now we're going to get more into the science part. Is okay, so now we're going to be telling a story about an issue, and what happens in your body when you start hearing distressing information, and maybe things from the news, or maybe even things that you're hearing or seeing, whatever you're consuming, whatever story it may be, even a movie or whatever it is, whatever content it is, some of it could bring up that stress and bring up that cortisol in your body. And so, and some films, like horror films, they don't ever bring in that oxytocin, that love. So even in our own filmmaking and in our own genres, like we have romantic comedies or just romance. So even in itself, there's films that are just going to like produce cortisol and stressors in your body. And then there's those films that are just going to produce that love, cortisol. You're going to feel so good. You're going to think anything is possible. So to balance all that, we need to be a good caretaker of that trauma, but also bring in that love part as well. So that by the time that person has experienced the content that you have created, they come out feeling more connected. They feel like they need to do something, because now you pulled on those heartstrings. Now you've displayed the risk. What's the cost? What's the risk? And now you've probably displayed the values, the love of why you need to stand up and take action. And so that's what the goal is. And for me and my Indigenous mindset of trying to, consume this science, because this is all science, this is research that people have done with communications and, how people, gather funding. Like this is all a formula. It's science. And so for me, as my Indigenous mindset, how I see it, it's coming back to one of our teachings is Hajan. And Hajan is the balancing of all, it's just the balance of all of that, is being in balance within the world and finding that within you, seeing the beauty within everything. So that's how I see it within this concept of science and this way of storytelling. And so now we're going to go and going to a little bit of our world as Diné people, where I'm going to be sharing more of our teachings and our tools of what it means for us to be an Indigenous storyteller, and how for us as an organization, how we utilize our traditional values and teachings to bring about change in our community. And so what do we have here is several different circles, and they all mean different things, but they all have the similar values. So for, I like to start off with the one at the far right. Um, this one is our concept for our Diné worldview of how we interpret the world. And it comes in ours, we see in a circle, and you see the top part is vision, the going down is the yellow, we see issue, the bottom part value and solutions. And so this one's our storytelling model, the one on the left. The one in the middle, this one is a concept developed by one of our behavioral health departments and for a Navajo Nation. So that one's all about self-care and how we utilize that the same concept of the first one on the right. That one, the right, is like the blueprint, has all of our storytelling in it, all the colors, the everything means something in this circle. And so for us, you can see how I used it for our storytelling. Our behavioral health used it for self-care. And so now we're going to go dive deeper into each of these quadrants so that you can see how we develop our stories. And so we'll go to the next one. So this next slide is our visioning. And this one is all white. This one's represented by white shell. And so I have, you could kind of see it on the bottom here, kind of cuts it off on the bottom of the screen. But on the bottom, there's a lot of white shells. And it represents the dawn. This is our east. This is the top part. So a lot of our hogans are faced toward the east. And our houses are faced toward the east. It also represents birth. This part in our concept, it's Nisaha case, means the thinking process. So this is just like the beginning. You can see there's like a list that says like Blanca Pink, that's the mountain that represents this, talking God, changing woman, holy woman. This is a feminine energy. And it's all about spring too. It's about experience. It's really harnessing those five senses as you were like in birth. And so for us, and as a storyteller, how I see it is that this is your visioning. This is where you're dreaming. You're bringing in like, okay, whatever issues is at play, like, okay, what would you like to see for a community? How does it feel like? What is your dream like? You know, and that's how I like to start in a dreaming world rather than going right into the issue. So I like to have like that intention set out first of like, okay, this is my intention for this issue here. I, this is my vision for my community, whatever it looks like. I want clean water. I want clean air. I want clean land. I want, all these things that are beautiful. And so that's how I want to start off. And I really I go into those five senses to help me figure out even deeper, how does that look like? And then it's all about observation, looking around, really getting into like, what is your vision for your community? And I think that helps us in the next process. So we'll go to the second slide. This one is all blue. It's all turquoise. I don't know if you could change the next slide.
Back. I'm sorry. Thank you for your patience.
Oh yeah, no worries.
The link. No. I am going to lead us one moment. Thank you for okay.
Yeah, so this right here. So this next one, now we get into more of the issue. This one is represented in what we call it Nahat'a, is the planning phase. And so planning together, this is also represented by the daylight. It's the South Mountain, it's Mount Taylor, and then we also have some of our deities that represented. This is a male energy. It's adolescent, and this is where we start stimulating that cortisol because we start thinking really more about the issue, and getting down to what the problem really is, what the risks are. And so this is where we're really getting in, to that part of the story. Let's like laying out what the issues are, what the risks are, and you probably want to lay out the facts too, what's happening in this section. And so that's how I utilize this part. I really go into that part of my mind, and it does become stressful. This one is just like, okay, now how do I say it? But saying it in a good way, like I said, because we have to be a good caretaker. And so I like how this one's all about mental health too. It's, having positive talk, decluttering, you're organizing, taking social media breaks. And that's what it's saying from one of our other partners. But this is something that we could really utilize in our community, is how to be a good caretaker. And it is through that positive talk. It's through, decluttering, it's having those tough conversations, asking yourself those tough questions as well, of what the issues are, and why should people even consider listening. It's really hard because for myself, and our organization and the communities that we work with, we do a lot of public comment in our communities. And it's a lot to even just show up for 3 minutes. Like, how do you tell your legislature or your leaders, like, hey, how do you get on my side? And, without getting too mad. So this is the part where we really have to be very careful how we say things. Because like I said, we're being a good caretaker. We're coming at this issue with love and an open heart. But we do know that this part is going to bring out the cortisol in our audience, whoever that may be. If it's our family, we're bringing an issue to, or if it's our leaders, or, anything, it's going to bring out that cortisol. So if we go to the next one, this is where that balancing comes out, is now we're getting into, again, going back to the feminine energy. This is also represented by, we're right now in this energy is the fall energy. It's autumn. It's the evening, represents evening. It also represents the west. San Francisco Peak is located in Flagstaff, Arizona. So that's where our sacred mountain is for this one. It also represents calling God, changing woman, and holy girl. It's a feminine energy. So this one's all about planning. I mean, not planning. It's all about doing the plan that you set forth and bringing it to life. And so that's why it's that feminine energy, is bringing it to life. We have a lot of our incredible deities there, changing woman, holy girl. And so this one is harnessing the values and bringing in that oxytocin and showcasing people why it matters to you and what are your values. And I think this is where we can find the commonalities, the common denominator too, in all of our fights, because we do a lot of environmental work. And some people think like, oh, well, because, I'm in healthcare, the environment work doesn't really affect me, or, oh, I'm in a different workforce, that doesn't affect me. But, I think this is where we could find that commonalities, is what is our values as a community. Because when we really look back at it, a lot of us have the same values. We love our family. We want a good future for our children. So those are the things that we even utilize with the Respect New Mexico Women and Families Act, because it is about abortion. It was repealing an old abortion ban on the New Mexico state statutes. So for us, it was a difficult conversation. And how are we going to have those healthy conversations with people? And we go back to our values. It's So then that's why for that campaign is Respect New Mexico Women and Families, that we have respect for our New Mexico women and families to have the capacity to make the right choices for their own families. And so that's where we came across, having those tough conversations, bringing alignment with other people that may not see eye to eye, but we have a common value to know that, okay, we respect you and we could, come together in this fight under that value. And so this is where, you kind of see the light again after talking about the issue, and you go back on the values. Like, this is why it matters, not just to me, but to our families, to our community, and to the society as a whole. And so then we go to the last quadrant. This one is for me, I like this one. As you can see, I'm all in black, and I'm even wearing all black in real life. I'm like, I love this color. For me, this one's about nighttime. It's about winter. For us, this is the time for a lot of our storytelling to be told is during the winter solstice. That signifies a lot of our ceremonies happening. That's when some stories are told, but it's a lot about storytelling. And so this one's, again, the masculine energy. It's all about reflection. It's bringing in the elder, because we went through the white was the baby, the blue was the adolescent, the yellow is the adult, and now black represents that elder, that wisdom. The masculine energy, it's about reflection, it's about hope, but it's also about results and what you want from the vision that you had, and what's the result from the solutions that you presented as well. And so this is all showcasing that part, is presenting that solution. And what would be the result from the solution that you presented? It's really giving that hope, because we don't want to leave people hanging on a negative story. We want to bring them inspiration and motivation to continue that fight, whatever issue is being laid out. We want to motivate them to be a part of the movement, whatever that is. We want them to also feel that self-determination to even tell their own story and feel good in that safe space to tell their story, no matter if it's, within their own family, even if it's within your own self, being a good self-talker to yourself. But even when you're showing our leaders what our problems are in the world, we want to also give them hope and give them like these we have solutions. We know what the impacts are from our solutions, and there is a choice. And so this is
Krystal, we lost your audio.
We lost Krystal, actually. Okay. Well, hopefully she'll come back in a minute. But until then, does anybody want to jump in with any reflections that they might have, just to keep the conversation going here? Yep, I see somebody with their hand up. Woohoo, over there. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I can put name tags on again. Hold on.
I wanted to ask a question about the conference that you were talking about coming up in February. You mentioned that it was going to take place physically, where people could come and do breakout sessions. Is there an option for people who can't physically be there?
Where our plan is to have at least one component that will connect the world, but it won't be the whole program. But yes, our plan is to have at least one component where we can connect the space, or at least have a watch party of one of our presentations, right? So that opportunity will be there for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for asking. Paige, any sign of Krystal yet? No? Okay.
I can't
Any
raise my
other
hand.
comments? Yeah, go ahead, Sarah.
Great. Yeah, sorry, I can't.
Oh.
If I try to do anything, it crashes. So I would love to comment. I wish Krystal was here. I'm just enjoying this so much. And I'm just thinking about, you know, the feminine and the emotion. And this just feels really salient right now, you know, that when we approach things from a reactionary place, you know, from an emotional place that is very reactive, it oftentimes can come across as really not compassionate to the person that you're engaged in conversation with. And it's not helpful. So yeah, I was just kind of reflecting on that and appreciating, you know, because I'm very ignorant about this and I'm Buddhist. And so I'm kind of reflecting on the differences in our practices and the similarities and the importance that Buddhism and apparently this tradition puts on masculine and feminine energy. So yeah, thanks.
Yeah. No, thanks, Sarah. I think, yeah, you're absolutely right. And being reactionary during a time where things are stressful, that's, you know, that's that dangerous place where sometimes you say things that you didn't mean to say, or you said it the way that you shouldn't have said it, or, you know, so yeah, taking that, you know, deep breath and and the way that she's laid this out, it's factual, right? There's this framework of facts that kind of play together, and that's what I loved about her storytelling in this page. Can you go back to the one where the slide where it had all 4 quadrant, like the 3 maps? Oh, there's Krystal. Yay, she's back. Yes.
Wonderful. Welcome, Krystal.
Yes. Okay, so stay on the same slide, so hopefully she can carry on.
Okay.
Just need her
Krystal, will you?
Need her to unmute.
Yes, unmute. And I stopped. I just saved her 3D recording.
Okay. I just saw she tried to unmute. Yeah, hold on, let's see if I can help her.
Let's see. Oh, great.
There, Krystal. And she's muted.
Krystal, I can tell that you're on your phone. In order to unmute, you have to just hold down the button, the microphone button.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your help.
You're welcome.
We can hear when you do that.
Krystal, we can also start this 3D recording again. So
we have to see if we can get her audio, because I can see she's trying.
Okay. It was there for a minute.
Maybe because she was in her headset before, right? So maybe her headset died.
Possibly. Good forensic. I'm going to check the host controls. I feel like you just did this though, and try to unmute her through these.
Yeah, controls. I tried to unmute her, but I can't.
Okay.
But she is on her phone. Like she is on her iPhone.
Krystal, we hear you. Oh.
No, but I can tell she's like going in and out. So we may have. That's too bad.
Phones are very tricky to
yeah,
unmute.
They are. And it's only been recently that Engage has been able to run off a phone as well. So I know that sometimes, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, she's disappeared again. Well, that's unfortunate. Hopefully she can come back, but you know, I'm mindful of time. We have 6 more minutes left in the programming. Is there any other comments about what was being talked about, or any other feedback anybody has?
I can't.
Yeah, that's Helen, right? Yep. Go ahead, Helen.
Yeah. No, I just love what she said in the beginning, especially about her grandmothers and mothers. And I just would love for her to come to my Foremothers Day on November 30th. So, yeah, I'll connect to her. And yeah, what she said about her mothers and grandmothers, it just made me think of that. So I just wanted
perfect,
to say that.
perfect alignment for you, Helen. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And maybe we could just forward that slide one more, just in case, just before we say goodbye here, because it might
Yeah,
be,
can you do
it's
that?
been flowing
There we go.
enough so that,
So questions to ask yourself when creating empathetic content. So it's about content, who's your audience and demographic, and why is it important to tell your story? What is the story arc and what is your call to action? And then the values, what are the values and morals? Is the content aligned with your values, and where in your content do we see values being practiced? Empathy, so listing both stressor negative and empathetic positive elements within your story. How you are balancing both stressors negative and empathetic positive elements. Are you being a good caretaker of the stressors harm negative in your story? And does your content include positive affirmations and phrases? And then the last piece is about spirit. What is your connection to your audience? Is your content inspired from your ancestral roots? How did it feel to create this project, and what emotions came up for you? And how do you relate to the content you created? So I'm definitely not Krystal, but I hope I conveyed some of those pieces that I know she intended to share with our group here. So.
And I noticed Krystal has joined the world again, and hopefully
see if
audio
we can get her audio
will work out. Yeah. Yes.
And I guess from here, the action is make sure you reach out to Krystal and you know, obviously send if she can hear, which she obviously can. Is there anything anybody wants to share with Krystal just on, you know, your experience today and listening to her? I think she would love to hear that.
Well, I'd love to ask her something.
Wonderful. Sorry. Go ahead, Dot.
I would love to ask Krystal, and she may need to do this by a link, if she would share one of the stories that her grandmother told that shaped the person she became. What did she take away that she really treasures from one of her stories? It may be a very tough question, so I get the impression there are a lot of them.
I love that.
That's a great question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think she's you can see she's trying. It's not staying, her mic's not staying live. So.
And Krystal, I don't know if you have any interest in being on Slack, but if so, I have questions for you too. And I'd love to talk to you on there. I don't know if anybody else is.
Yep, she's nodding.
Thank you for today if you're here. Thank you so much.
I will leave. I will make sure that Krystal has an invitation and is a part of our Slack, as well as share on Slack about Indigenous Lifeways. Their website is full of incredible stories and examples of ways to participate and be involved. So, and as we honor Krystal in our time together, think about ways that we can continue practicing personal and community care. And if you have some inspiring stories about how you practice or ways that you've noticed other practice community and self-care, I invite you to also create a conversation, a thread in the Slack, so that we're able to build upon that and rely on that community conversation of care through this time and forward.
Amazing.
Krystal, we are so happy to have had this opportunity and honor to hear your story and this special pathway to healthy, empathetic communication for problem solving, connecting with our community, and making change.
Yay!
Thank you so much for being here. And
Thanks, everyone.
please spend some time. If you took some screenshots of this presentation, make sure you spend some time with that and ask yourself some of these valuable questions. We are excited
And share with
to
others
welcome.
too. Share with others your insight.
Yes.
And I think that's, that's the power of our community is share your ideas. What was your interpretation from today? How are you going to take today and move forward? And, that would be the most amazing thing is carrying this conversation on from what Krystal has started here in this space. So, share your knowledge with others, and that's how we grow all together.
That's right.
Yeah.
I appreciated the pathway of understanding our cortisol and building more empathy. And so also as we traverse together into the future, that mindful awareness of the science behind the spirit is important.
Absolutely.
And join us next week for our Aquila Martinez. We're really excited.
Absolutely. And just in case anybody has a meeting to go to, it is 1 p.m. Eastern. So maybe we'll wrap up our formal part of this program